So my Sesame Place videos breakdown coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense Logical Reason. As always, I'm going to say thank y'all for joining me today. So we know that after we saw the initial video of those two girls being snugged by that Rosita character at Sesame Place, other black folks have come forward with these videos making this alleged case that this is a continual trend of this mistreatment of black people at this park. Now, I'm going to look at some of the videos, break down some of the videos to see if there was actually racism going on. Now, before we can start, you always have to take everything into consideration. There's some things that we need to take into consideration before we start. Now, the first thing that we need to take into consideration, and the number one thing, is the Race Murphy's Law. You know, Race Murphy's Law is always in full effect. And of course, if you don't know what that is, it's just a derivative of Murphy's Law. You know, Murphy's Law says that anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Well, Race Murphy's Law, it says that anything that can be race will be race. And they will make race out of everything, no matter how big or how small. You know, they see racism the size of a grain of mustard seed, you know, that same mustard seed that Jesus talked about. If they see racism that size, they're going to turn it into a huge watermelon, right? A semi-tractor trailer. You know what I'm saying? With the trailer. This is what they do. Now, the next thing that we have to take into consideration is the field of view inside those suits. I've never worn any of those suits before, so I can't tell you exactly what the field of view is, but I can imagine it can't be great. It's damn sure definitely not the same peripheral vision as not wearing a suit. I can imagine the field of view must be something like this inside those costumes. So you have a very narrow vision. You're not going to see everything. That's something that has to be taken into consideration. Also, just because the eyes of the character, the costume that you're wearing, just because the eyes appear to be pointing in the direction, that doesn't mean that the person wearing the suit is seeing that. Because again, usually with these costumes, the port where the person can see is usually somewhere in the neck. So just because the eyes of the character is pointing in a certain direction doesn't mean that the character itself are looking at what you believe that they are looking at. Now, the next thing that we have to take into consideration is the randomness of a lot of these videos. Most of these videos are at the parades that happen at Sesame Place, which I'm guessing it appears that they have parades during daylight and they have parades at night. So it must be either have two parades or multiple parades during the day. But when anytime you're at these parades, there's going to be a lot of randomness. You know, characters walking around, hugging certain people. Some people won't get hugs. It's just random. That's something that has to be taken into consideration. Of course, the left, they just ignore what they want. That's just how it is. Now, the last thing that we have to take into consideration before watching these films and breaking them down to videos is something that I've observed of black people in my 48 years being on this planet. And I've said it before, when you're dealing with black folk, when race starts, brains stop. That's just how it is. The left side of the brain just shut down, and any attempt to try to use logic with a black person in that state is a waste of time. It really truly is. But anyway, so let's go on to watch these videos and break them down to see if there really truly was racism going on. Okay, the first thing that we can say of that video, that clip, is that we can say the character was not ignoring that little black girl. And this has pretty much been the argument that black folks are making. Black kids are being ignored. Well, she clearly wasn't being ignored. Anyway, the character didn't push the little girl down. They're trying to make this case as if the character pushed her down and was just standing over on top of her like this here. That's ridiculous. The character was dancing, you know, into it, was going to the girl, giving the attention that y'all are crying about. He got too close and knocked her down, and then bend over to try to pick her up. That's not racism. Now, what I find funny though is that you know the left with their video editing, they try to look like they try to do their best to capture the girl completely falling to the ground to get that effect, while trying to edit out as much as they can as the character bending over to try to pick her up. So I would like to know, why is it that the camera stopped right there? Why didn't we see the full, at least a couple of, I would say 2 to 4 seconds after that point? I mean, they just stopped it right there. And it just amazed me how these leftists, how they managed to stop the video at the convenient time for them. But this is not racism. There's nothing racism there. Now, in this video, I can't really explain what the person in the Burt character was doing, nor am I trying to explain it. Clearly, he hugged, again, these white kids. Again, we can't really see these full race of these kids. It could be Hispanic children, but he gave them these handshakes, and then got to the black female and did something like this here. I can't explain it. I don't know what the world that person in that suit was doing. If you want to call that racism, whatever. The fact is that this is the black girl. Her life is not going to be drastically changed and harmed, and her life is over because of this incident. And really, we don't know the race of the person in the suit, and that's really the case for all these videos. We don't know what race of the person in those suits. They're assuming that these are racist white folks. But like I said, I'm not explaining. I can't explain what happened. If you want to call that racism, go ahead, but were all the characters ignoring this little black girl, which looks to be at a parade? Was she being ignored by all the characters? Where's the video evidence to prove it? Now, this video here doesn't even look like it happens in, this is not a Sesame Place. I mean, this looked to be like Times Square or something. So how this is racism against Sesame Place is beyond me, but then that's just the left, race hustling. The race Murphy's Law, everything's gonna be race. Anyway, you see the Elmo character walking toward this white teenager, looks to be kid about maybe 15, 16, 17 years of age. Gives the kid a hug, and then the black kid was like behind him, and to the right side of that white kid, and again, an Elmo character, then randomly goes off on his own, and then his crazy mother go grab the character and tell him he better hug her child, and the character did, just complied and hugged the child. Now, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I'm more concerned about this child being raised by that crazy ass woman than some damn Elmo character. And you can look at the face of that kid like, Jesus Christ, not again. I mean, the way the kid, not the face, because you see the video camera from the back, but based upon that kid's behavior, like, Jesus, this woman is not again with this woman. But this is not racism either. There's nothing racism here. I mean, the Elmo character went to hug the white kid. Probably, I don't know if they saw the black kid, but the black kid was behind him. And if that person in that suit would have saw the kid, they wouldn't have had no issue giving the black kid a hug as well. But the way that mother acts is really what we should be concerned about. I mean, really, y'all. Once again, there's no racism here. This character, Rosita character, it basically is in a parade route and is doing her elaborate stuff. So I'm assuming this was a female, the way she was moving, the way that character was moving. It appeared that there was a female in a costume, but saw a baby in a stroller. It looks to be an Hispanic kid, went up to her and pat her on the head, got back into the parade route and started going. Now, it didn't give the black kid a hug or a handshake, but that's not racism. That's just a character randomly interacting with somebody on the parade route, and that was a baby in the stroller, and then got back into the parade route and kept going with the parade. Now, that little, maybe perhaps 8-second clip gives them the view or the narrative that people want to see, the optic. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that character has passed by plenty of white kids of all races. Everybody cannot get a high five, a hug. And I'm pretty sure that this black kid was not being ignored the whole entire day by all the characters. This seemed to be the theme. Now, we have to ask, is this something that was going on the whole entire their experience there, the whole day? All these black kids were just constantly being ignored by all these characters while all the white kids got hugs and high fives. This is not racism. It's just randomness of a parade. A randomness of being in a parade. But moving on. Again, so this is another Rosita character, and this character, as we see, was doing an elaborate movement. So again, I'm assuming this was also a female. So I guess the females must be inside the female costumes, I'm guessing. But this kid, the character was walking toward it. Keeps everybody saying where they were walking toward a black kid, and then shoot this little black girl, then hug the white girl. But once again, we don't know what the character was looking at. But the character did hug the white girl, then gave the black girl this high five and got back to the parade route. Again, completely random behavior. Where's the racism here? Now, it'd be one thing if she hugged the white girl and shoot off the black girl, get out of here. You have an argument, but she clearly high-fived, or whoever is in the costume clearly high-fived the little girl, the black girl, gave her a high five, and got back to the parade route. What do you want the people to do? And I'm pretty sure that this little black girl, as I gotta keep saying, was not constantly ignored by all the characters the whole time they're at the park. That's ridiculous. If people believe so, show me the evidence. And with all these black people, I'm assuming are visiting this park, and all these cell phones, if there's really truly all this racism going on, we should have thousands of hours of video, thousands of minutes, hundreds of thousands of minutes of video proving this ever since the park has been open since 1980. But this is not racism here. Not even by any stretch of imagination. That's just those race-colored glasses allowing black people to see what they want to see. Filters out everything but race. Show them nothing but race. Again, no racism here. This is another character randomly on a parade route shaking hands. I mean, all the kids are not going to get handshakes and hugs from all the characters. That's just not going to happen. So this 12-second video is not evidence of any racism. I mean, I don't know how many times we got to say that. It's just randomness at a parade. There's going to be some kids who's going to get handshakes of all races. There's going to be some kids who are not going to get handshakes and hugs of all races. And I would say most kids won't. There's only so much handshakes and hugging that these characters can do in a parade that they have to keep up with. So like I say, no racism here, just hyping race. Just got to add stuff to make filler, to make the problem seem worse than it is. It's just a symptom of the knee-jerk reaction of black people to cry racism. That's all it is. And of course, the race-colored glasses can allow black people to see this video and see racism where there is no racism. Okay, in this clip, we see this is the Big Bird. We see the Big Bird on side the parade route, randomly handshaking and greeting other kids, and then gets back into the parade route, meets up with these two other females. They weren't wearing any suits, but of course they were in a costume. And then they start to do this routine dance that appears to be the only thing that was actually planned inside this parade for them to do this random dance routine together. But black folks are trying to say, well, this is racism because he gave handshakes to all these white kids, and then before they got to the black kid, then gets back into the parade route. Well, there was a pretty decent gap between when Big Bird started greeting all the people, or finished greeting the people, and then went back and then started to dance with those two females. If that means that he also ignored other people that was there, and if there was nobody in that gap, then that would make sense that the person in that suit would say, okay, I greeted everybody that was in this facility right here, in this small space, so let me get back and go do the routine, I guess the planned routine. But this is 24-second clip, not evidence of any racism. This is just, more than anything, this is evidence of complete randomness at a parade, aside from a dance routine. But again, were all the characters ignoring this little black boy or this little black kid? Were they ignoring them, their family? Show me the evidence. And you got this 24-second clip of supposedly your kid being a racism against your kid. Well, where's all the rest of your video? Let's see all the rest of your video, because I guarantee you they have more than this 24-second clip of video. Let's see it all to show all this racism, all these characters consistently ignoring your black child, because I guarantee you if all the other characters did this, they would have all that video will be released as well. This is cherry-picked video and not evidence of any racism. Again, just another video clip with more random handshakes at a parade route. Of course, again, show me the evidence. Gotta ask this question over and over again. Show me the evidence that this black kid, or the black baby, was constantly being ignored by all these characters. Show me the evidence. Again, and like I say, this is just 8 clips that we went over. Now, if there really truly was all this racism with all these black people with these cell phones and cameras, I guarantee you, if there were multiple times that their children were being ignored or they thought was racism, they would upload all these videos. The fact that we got 8 video clips, this is just 8 video clips, and there are more, a few more out there. But with all these black people visiting a park, and all these black people with all these cell phones recording, they would have multiple, you could easily have hundreds of minutes of video per parade with all these people in these parks. And yet, what we have, about all the video that I've seen, maybe 3 videos of three total minutes, maybe 3 minutes of video. We could have video on top of video on top of video proving that this place is racist if it really was true. And like I said, one of those videos, and the one that looked like it took place at Times Square, wasn't even at Sesame Place. There's no evidence here of any racism. This is just black people making race out of everything. I mean, the thing that really kills me the most, though, is that we're crying about Sesame Street characters. But any of these kids, if any of these children were to be shot and killed by random violence in their community, assuming they live in the hood, if they were in the hood, nobody would have nothing to say. There would be no press conferences. There would be no international viral story of another black kid being killed by random violence in their community. But we got all this energy for Sesame Place, Sesame Street characters. This is why I always say, I say this all the time, why black people will never get nowhere in this country. There's no race of people that would respond to this level of insanity. Cry about Sesame Street characters, but you don't cry and complain about black children's lives being taken. This is ridiculous, but there's no racism in this video. The only thing in this video that's remotely close to, in this particular clips, that's remotely close to being racism would be the Bernie clip. And that's it, the Bernie shooting that black girl. But beyond that, this is ridiculous that black folks even losing their mind over this nonsense. Just amazes me, the stuff that we lose our mind over and focus on, while the stuff that we ignore is just, like I said, just downright insanity. Well, anyway, these are my breakdowns on these clips, and like I said, there's no racism here. That's BS. Anyway, y'all, as always, until next time.